How do you explain Jorge Polanco?
I think there are two ways to look at this. Way number one is going to be the more dissatisfactory one, which is, in any time in baseball, somebody can get so locked in that he looks like the best player in the world. But I think the better explanation is he's healthy. And we have,
Kind of. I mean, he's not healthy enough to bat right-handed. He's not healthy enough to play the field. So, he's kind of healthy.
No. But my point is he's healthy enough to swing the bat like he is capable of swinging the bat. And that's something that early in his career when he was in Minnesota, he was an all-star caliber bat. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes a really, really long way. Last year he was miserable, and he had the surgery in the off season, and the hope was to get him back to where he's been right now. But I'm not speaking out of turn here. He has far exceeded anyone's expectations, and the fact that the M's are getting the power out of him that they are, in this last week where he hit as many home runs practically as the rest of the team combined. He's been an absolute lifesaver and a really big reason. It's why when I look at wins above replacement, it's a fun statistic. It's an interesting statistic, but I don't think it's actually representative of the number of wins that a guy actually contributes. Jorge Polanco, the Mariners without him right now, I feel like are an under 500 team.
Yeah, I think with Cal Raleigh as well. And I think Cal maybe is actually leading the wins above replacement, but I totally get your point. Okay, a little bigger picture, right? We just finished the NFL draft. All these GMs say the same thing. They want the board to speak to you. What's the market going to do? When are players available, when you want them, yada, yada, yada. A month into the season now, as we close the books on April here this week, what has the sport of baseball, Major League Baseball, and maybe in particular the American League, what has it spoken to Jeff Passan?
It has told me that it is not only wide open, but also not very good. I think the Tigers can play. I think the Yankees, for a team that has some clear weaknesses, I think the Yankees can play enough where they're going to be in the mix. I think the Red Sox have shown that they're going to mash. They need some pitching. I look at a team like the Rays, and they're just so hot and cold. But when they're hot, man, they actually look like a good team. And I look at the American League West, and I say to myself, what the hell is this? I don't know who the best team in the American League West is. On one day, it can look like Seattle. When Hunter Brown is pitching, it can look like Houston. When the A's are swinging it, no, I lied. It doesn't look like the A's. Their defense, I don't know how much you've seen of the A's this year. They're a bad fielding team, and I think that's going to be what does them in. And the Rangers just confuse me so much because I look at the names in that lineup, guys, and I'm like, how is this team the lowest scoring team in Major League Baseball? Does not make any sense, but they have pitched well. And, even if they're losing games on a Little League walk-off home run, I think the Rangers are going to be in the mix. But in the grand scheme, Brock, let's look at the National League. The New York Mets are better than any AL team. The Los Angeles Dodgers, better. San Diego Padres, better. You can make a pretty compelling argument that the Chicago Cubs, better. The Arizona Diamondbacks, right there. The San Francisco Giants, right there. Even the Cincinnati Reds. And I haven't even talked about Philadelphia or Atlanta. I mean, if you were to tell me 8 or 9 National League teams are better than every American League team, I'd say, there's a decent argument to be made that that's the truth.
So in listening to that intro you got there at Wrestling, they referred to you as a best-selling author, and Brock and I both read The Arm. If people haven't read it, it's now a few years old, but it's still 100% worth your time. A tremendous look.
Dude, it's almost 10 years old now.
Crazy.
It's almost time for you to do what Gladwell did and do a Revenge of the Arm. Yeah, it might be time.
Maybe
Jeffrey.
next comes the leg. I don't know. But regardless, The Arm is a really, really great book on baseball and speaks specifically to pitcher injuries. And we have one here that we're now very concerned about. It's a grade 1 flexor strain for Logan Gilbert. Two-part question. A, what does that mean? And what does it tell you about his kind of prognosis moving forward? And then secondly, he says he's feeling pretty good. We've seen a couple reports where he said, hey, look, I feel like I dodged, but feeling pretty good. I already feel better than I did the other day. Would he be able to tell if he's heading closer to the dreaded Tommy John moment or if it's actually on its way back this quickly?
So let's start with what the flexor is. When it talks about a flexor strain, the flexor mass is the bundle of muscles in your forearm, and they're overlapping muscles, each of which is connected. Like if you're looking at if you're looking right now at your hand and your palm is facing up toward the sky, if you move each individual finger while you have your other hand on your forearm, you can feel like different muscles moving in there. And so what the flexor mass does for pitchers is essentially it acts as a brake. When you throw a baseball, all of this energy and force comes up through your legs, up into your hips and your core, and when you rotate around, it gets distributed up to your arm. As your arm internally rotates around the shoulder, so like when it looks like it's laid back and then the forearm comes flying through with the baseball, as your arm internally rotates like that, all of the force that's been built up through your body gets distributed down through your shoulder and into your elbow area, and specifically onto the ulnar collateral ligament. And as you are coming through and pronating, which means your thumb is sort of going down as you're throwing, the energy then gets distributed into the muscles of the flexor mass, which takes the brunt of it. So if your body is working correctly, the flexor mass is taking the strain and the stress off of your elbow ligament, which is a good thing. And so it's doing its job. But sometimes the stress and the strain can be a little too much. Grade 1 is the lowest of the three. Grade 2 is a partial tear. Grade 3 is a full tear. So grade 1 is a good thing. But because the flexor mass is attached to the elbow and is related to the ulnar collateral ligament, which is what tears during Tommy John surgery, quite often what ends up happening is guys who get Tommy John also have flexor damage, so it will sometimes be a 2-for-1 surgery. And you have in the flexor mass these muscles that, if they are not working optimally, they're not going to take on that energy anymore, and it's going to remain in the elbow ligament and put the stress and the strain there. So that's why a flexor mass injury is problematic. Can Logan Gilbert? No. Until he throws a baseball at full speed, no, he cannot. But if there's soreness that was there that is not there anymore, that's a good sign. It's just, as we know, with the arm, it doesn't really matter what happens until you actually try to throw a baseball at game speed, because that's the ultimate litmus test to see if you're actually going to feel okay trying to do your job.
Over the last 10 years, if you were to see mild grade 1 bundle strains, how many of them lead to a real negative result, surgery? And how many of those, is it a 50-50? Is it a 90-10? Is it what are kind of the odds through the years of that injury?
I don't know that I can put odds on that are accurate, Brock.
Okay.
There are guys who have flexor strains, and those flexor strains go away, and we never hear about them again. But generally speaking, when there's something wrong in your arm, it does not tend to go away or dissipate. Now, some guys have the ability to change things up, whether it's in their delivery and their training and their preparation and their post-throw work, whatever it may be, to make something like that go away. So I'm not sitting here and saying Logan Gilbert's going to be going under the knife at any point soon. But what I will say is, anytime there's any sort of forearm related injury, it's scary because it tends to portend something long term that you're not looking for. Now, I look at a guy like Masahiro Tanaka, who had forearm injuries his entire time as a Yankee, and he fulfilled a 7-year deal and didn't need any sort of elbow procedure. So there are some guys who just figure out how to work through it, and they can still be effective. But Logan Gilbert has all the hallmarks of a guy who's going to get hurt. He throws really hard, and it's not the cleanest delivery in the world. And with some guys, it just feels like it's a matter of time. And it's why, when I've been on the show the last few years talking about what a gift the Mariners have had in their pitching health, it's for a year like this where the two guys, as much as I think we all appreciate Luis Castillo, who, by the way, is a guy whose elbow has been a mess for years and has still managed to be really, really good and stay out there and throw and post and be effective. As much as we appreciate Luis Castillo and Brian Wu and Bryce Miller, in my head at least, outsider's perspective, I've always looked at Gilbert and Kirby as the two guys. Like the two with the most ceiling, the two who, if they are at their best, are going to carry the Mariners to something special. And both of them are down with arm injuries right now. And it feels like it was just a matter of time. It's nice if you're the Mariners that you have, and I know Emerson Hancock hasn't been great, but where you have Emerson Hancock and Logan Evans, guys who can come and capably fill in, and you look at the rotation and you're like, that's still pretty darn good. But at the same time, it's scary every time I hear forearm anything. It just feels like elbow, maybe not now, but eventually is an inevitability.
Jeff, you had any chance to see Ben Williamson? This kid has been really, really impressive. He's really helped.
I know.
Change this roster and this lineup and this infield. And I know everyone said we talked to, Keith Law, and he's like, the swing won't play. And he just doesn't have a great bat, this and that. Maybe he's not maybe it's not going to keep up, right? You got adjustments and everything else. The league will figure out who he is, but sure doesn't look overmatched.
No, he doesn't. And what I like about Ben Williamson is that he's taking really good at bats. Like in a lineup where we see a little too much strikeout, he has handled himself very capably early on. And I'm with Keith. I don't know that Ben Williamson is necessarily going to be the long-term solution at third base for the Mariners. But I will say this, within 2 years of being drafted, the guy shot through the system and made it to the big leagues. And I understand that some of that is, frankly, other organizations, he may not be in the big leagues right now because they don't need a third baseman, and the Mariners did. But I also don't think that this was something that the Mariners did let's just take a shot. No, they really like him. And I think if not the long-term solution at third base, I think they feel like he's going to be a contributing member to this roster going forward because he's got a pretty good ability to get on base and he can handle the bat well.
Jeffrey, I'll give you a little tip of the cap here, a little finger to the sky, a little original tribal chief when it came to this 2023 Mariner baseball draft, because you were singing its praises a year ago, almost right after it. Now Logan Evans has made his big league debut. Williamson, as you just referenced, was a part of that class as well. Not even one of the first 3-round picks. Now that we see Farmelo is back in action off of that ACL, what are the industry sources talking about that 23 class, and is the optimism arrow still through the roof?
Yes, and it should be. I don't have to tell you guys about Colt Emerson. I think everybody knows that if there's anyone in this Mariners organization who's going to be a star, he's the guy. And Farmelo, just the tools there are really good. Like he has a chance to be a star caliber guy because of the position and because of the ceiling. And Ty Pete can play too. Like they nailed almost everything. Even Aiden Smith, who they traded for Randy Arozarena, and Brody Hopkins. Like, I'm not saying that that's going to be one of the best draft classes that we have ever seen. But if this goes down as the best draft class in Seattle Mariners history, it would not surprise me. Yeah, I think Brandon Garcia was in that class too, right?
Correct.
He was, yeah.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
as you, this is too early to have this conversation, way too early, but the Mariners are playing well. They're in first place. So let's have it anyway with the understanding that we know it's too early. Do we have a sense yet of what this year's trade deadline is going to include? Who's going to be out there? Who's going to be available? And what this year looks like?
I think it's probably a little too early at this point. Like, let's say the Blue Jays are out of it. Is Bo Bichette going to be there? Like, that's an interesting one. Let's say the Orioles are out of it. Is Zach Eflin going to be out there? Is Sandy Alcantara going to move? Like, there are going to be some guys. And I think it's mostly going to be pitching heavy. Like, if the Twins aren't in it, Tyler Mahle, Ryan Helsley, if you're looking for a back end option. I like, there's not going to be a Juan Soto. I don't think there's going to be like a superstar bat that's moving. But by and large, I think there will be options out there for teams, especially that are looking for pitching.
I think the Mariners are going to be looking for pitching or hitting if they're still in it at that point. Yeah. It's the strangest darn thing. Jeff, we appreciate it. Great job, seriously.
Well, we really do appreciate you guys watching our videos.
And remember, you can like it, you could subscribe it, you could download the Seattle Sports app so you never miss a minute.